Hello everyone, great to have you here. Today I want to talk about breakfast. As the name suggests, breakfast literally means breaking the fast. While you sleep, you go several hours without eating. When you wake up, your body needs water and nutrients to work well. If you choose to skip breakfast as part of a longer fasting routine, I completely understand. There are real health benefits to that, and I'll cover them in a future video. But this one is for the majority of people who do eat something within a few hours of waking up. A good breakfast sets you up for a day, and it can affect your energy, focus, blood sugar, and even your mood in the first half of the day. But before you eat, drink some water. Sleep is a major dehydration event. You lose fluids overnight through breathing and sweating. At minimum, I recommend a glass of water first thing after waking up. Dr. Michael Bruce, a sleep specialist, suggests around 500 milliliters. That's just over 2 cups. That's why I always leave a glass of water on my bedside table before I go to bed. Even mild dehydration can hurt your concentration, energy, and physical performance. Starting the day well hydrated helps your circulation, digestion, and metabolism. Now, let's talk about food. The basic idea is to give your body protein and energy. Protein is important at every meal. Energy is a bit more nuanced. Carbs and sugars can cause a spike followed by a crash. So ideally you want foods that release energy slowly and steadily. Here's what goes into my typical breakfast. Overnight rolls, milk, blueberries, raspberries, cocoa powder, chia seeds, hemp seeds, flax seeds, peanut butter, and I drink tea, black tea with honey. I briefly explain the role of each ingredient, starting with the less common ones. If you're short on time, use the timestamps below to jump to the part you care about most. Cocoa powder. Cocoa is one of those rare ingredients that tastes great and is genuinely good for you. It's often called a superfood, and the science behind it is impressive. The star compounds in cocoa are flavonoids, specifically a subgroup called flavanols. These are plant-based antioxidants, and cocoa is one of the richest dietary sources of them you can find. Antioxidants matter because they help neutralize free radicals, unstable molecules that damage your cells over time and contribute to aging, inflammation, and chronic disease. But flavonols don't just fight free radicals. They have some remarkably specific effects on the body. Let me break down the main ones. Heart health. Cocoa flavonols help your blood vessels relax and widen, which improves blood flow and lowers blood pressure. Studies have confirmed this isn't just theory. Regular cocoa consumption has been shown to produce real, measurable reduction in blood pressure. Brain function. Better blood flow doesn't just help your heart, it helps your brain too. Studies have found that cocoa can sharpen your attention, improve memory, and support mental performance. And it's not just long-term benefits. Some research suggests even a single serving can make a difference. Over time, it may also help protect brain health as we age. Mood. Cocoa has a genuine effect on how we feel. It contains compounds that support the brain chemicals linked to mood and motivation, and it also provides a mild, steady lift in energy and alertness, without the spike and crash you might get from caffeine. Inflammation. Low-level inflammation that builds up quietly in the body is now linked to a wide range of serious conditions: heart disease, type 2 diabetes, depression, and more. Cocoa has been shown in multiple studies to help reduce it. Worth knowing, not all cocoa is equal. Heavy processing, particularly Dutch processing, where cocoa is treated with alkali to reduce bitterness, significantly reduce the flavanol content. For maximum benefit, look for raw or minimally processed cocoa powder and check that it hasn't been alkali treated. The taste is more intense, but that's actually a sign the good stuff is still in there. Chia seeds. Chia seeds are a great source of fiber, especially the kind that support gut health and keeps blood pressure stable. They also rich in omega-3 fatty acids, which are good for your heart and brain. Because they soak up water, they help you feel full for longer. Flax seeds. Flax seeds are another strong source of omega-3 fatty acids. They also contain compounds called lignans, which have antioxidant properties and may help with hormonal balance. Like chia seeds, they are high in fiber and good for digestion. Worth knowing, flax seeds need to be ground to be properly absorbed by your body. Whole flax seeds tend to pass through largely undigested, which means you miss most of the nutritional benefits. Buy them pre-ground or grind them yourself at home. It's a small thing that makes a real difference. Hemp seeds. Hemp seeds are one of those ingredients that don't get nearly enough attention, and I think that's worth changing. They're one of the few plant-based foods that provide a complete protein, meaning they contain all 9 essential amino acids your body can't produce on its own. That's rare in the plant world, and it makes them particularly valuable if you're reducing or avoiding animal products. Beyond protein, hemp seeds have an impressive fat profile. They are rich in both omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids, and crucially, they contain them in a ratio that's considered close to ideal for the body, roughly 3:1 omega-6 to omega-3. Most Western diets are heavily skewed towards omega-6, so getting a source that helps rebalance that is genuinely useful. These fats support heart health, brain function, and help manage inflammation. They are also a good source of magnesium, zinc, and iron, minerals that support your metabolism, immune system, and overall energy levels. Peanut butter. I add a tablespoon of natural peanut butter for extra protein and healthy fats. It contains monounsaturated fats, which are linked to heart health, and it helps with muscle maintenance and keeping you full. Worth knowing. Check the label before you buy. The ingredients should say one thing only: peanuts. Many commercial peanut butters are loaded with added sugar, palm oil, and salt, which largely cancels out the benefits. Raspberries. Raspberries are low in calories but high in fiber and vitamin C. They support your immune system and gut health, and their fiber helps keep blood sugar levels steady. They also contain antioxidants that help protect your cells from damage. Blueberries. Blueberries are one of my favorite fruits, and I eat them almost every day. They are often considered one of nature's superfoods, and the science backs that up. They contain natural compounds linked to better memory, sharper thinking, and reduce inflammation. Studies have found that eating blueberries regularly can support brain health over time, which is especially relevant as we age. They are also a good source of vitamin C and vitamin K, and they are low in calories while being high in nutrients. Despite their small size, they are one of the most nutrient-dense fruits you can add to your diet. If fresh blueberries are expensive or out of season, frozen ones work just as well. The nutritional value is very similar. Rolled oats. The base of my breakfast is rolled oats, which I soaked in the fridge overnight. This is what makes them overnight oats. Oats are one of the most nutritionally complete grains you can eat. They are a great source of complex carbohydrates, which means they release energy slowly and steadily rather than causing a spike and crash. The key compound responsible for this is beta-glucan, a type of soluble fiber that has been extensively studied for its ability to support heart health, help manage cholesterol, and keep blood sugar stable throughout the morning. Beta-glucan also feeds the good bacteria in your gut, which has a knock-on effect on your immune system and overall health. And because oats absorb liquid and expand, they genuinely filling, which makes it easier to avoid snacking before lunch. Worth knowing, not all oats are the same. Raw oats or steel-cut oats are minimally processed and retain most of their nutritional value. Instant oats, on the other hand, are heavily processed. They've been pre-cooked and dried, which breaks down the structure of the beta-glucan and reduces its effectiveness. They also tend to rise blood sugar more quickly, which is the opposite of what you want from your breakfast base. If it says instant or quick cook on the packet, it's worth swapping out for rolled or steel cuts instead. Milk. Milk adds high quality protein, including all essential amino acids, which helps with muscle repair and recovery. It also provides calcium, vitamin B12, and other nutrients important for bone health and energy. Black tea with honey. I drink loose leaf black tea with half a tablespoon of Manuka honey. I switched away from tea bags after finding out that many of them contain plastic. And when you pour boiling water over them, they can release microplastics straight into your cup. A simple switch worth making. Black tea itself has some solid health benefits. It's rich in antioxidants called polyphenols, which help protect your cells from damage. It supports gut health by promoting the growth of good bacteria, and studies suggest it might help lower blood pressure and reduce the risk of heart disease. It also contains a modest amount of caffeine, enough to sharpen your focus without the jittery feeling you might get from coffee. Manuka honey is a step above regular honey. It has strong antibacterial properties that are found in much higher concentrations than in ordinary honey. It supports gut health, can help soothe your throat and digestive lining, and has been shown to have anti-inflammatory effects. Worth knowing, not all Manuka honey is the same, and this is one where the label really matters. Manuka honey gets its unique properties from a compound called MGO, which is responsible for its antibacterial and anti-inflammatory effects. The higher the MGO concentration, the stronger those effects. When you're buying it, you'll see two rating systems. MGO, which tells you directly how much of that active compound is in the jar, and UMF, a broader quality mark used in New Zealand that covers potency and authenticity. The problem is that the word Manuka on a label means very little on its own. A jar can legally carry that name with a rating so low it has barely more benefit than a regular supermarket honey, often still at a premium price. As a rough guide, look for MGO 100 or above for general health benefits, and 250 or above if you want the stronger antibacterial properties. A small amount goes a long way. Half a teaspoon is plenty, but make sure what's in the jar is actually worth buying. What else you can add or swap? If you don't tolerate dairy, plant-based alternatives work fine. Oat, soya, and almond milk are all popular options. Worth knowing, not all plant milks are created equal. Cow's milk naturally contains calcium and vitamin B12. Vitamin D, however, is actually added to most commercially dairy milk too. So on that front, both dairy and plant-based milks rely on fortification. Where plant milks often fall short is calcium, B12, and protein. So those are the ones to check on the label. I pay attention to protein in particular. Dairy milk has around 3 to 4 grams per 100 milliliter. Soya milk comes closest to matching that. Almond milk is often the weakest, sometimes as low as 0.5 grams per 100 milliliters, which is almost nothing. A small label check makes a big difference. I used to add nuts to my breakfast, but these days I tend to have them later in the day. That said, nuts are a great source of protein and healthy fats, so they work well in the morning meal too. They make a good alternative to peanut butter if you prefer whole nuts.
Banana instead of berries. A banana is brilliant swap if you don't have berries on hand or just fancy something different. Bananas are a natural source of quick and sustainable energy thanks to a mix of simple sugars and starch. They are particularly high in potassium, which supports health function and healthy blood pressure. They also contain vitamin B, which plays a role in brain health and mood. Bananas are easy to digest, making them a gentle option first thing in the morning. Then they're also one of the cheapest fruits you can buy, which fits perfectly with keeping things simple and affordable. I don't drink coffee myself as it doesn't agree with me. But if you do, it's worth waiting about an hour after waking before your first cup. This gives your cortisol levels time to settle naturally so the caffeine works more effectively. When I want something lighter, I swap oats for Weetabix. And if you want to move away from cereal altogether, a great option is whole grain toast with eggs and avocado. Plenty of protein, healthy fats, and slow released energy. Anyway, here's what my version actually looks like, built from scratch. I know this list might look like a lot at first, but one thing that saves me time is buying chia, flax, and hemp seeds as a ready-made mix, or you can buy them separately and then combine into one container. Add things gradually as they become a habit, and before long it just happens automatically. I'd love to know what your morning look like. Drop it in the comments and let's see what we can all learn from each other's choices.